What if a single book could change a young person's life? Discover how one novel led a devout boy astray, and Don Bosco's extraordinary efforts to bring him back. The Miracles and Prophecies of St. John Bosco, a project of America Needs Fatima. I'm your host, Adrian Fonseca. Subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today's episode explores a tale of temptation, redemption, and perseverance. Don Bosco's encounter with Francis reveals literature's impact on young minds and the importance of vigilance in guiding youth. We'll explore what literature's influence has on young minds, and the power of forgiveness and second chances, and the need to protect youth from negative influences. And how can we apply this lesson to our digital age? I'm curious to your answer. And do you want to discover more of Don Bosco's wisdom firsthand? Become a monthly promoter today and click the link below. I'll share more details later, but first let's dive into the story. Don Bosco's spiritual retreat at St. Ignatius Shrine marked a turning point in his search for Francis, a lost sheep that he had been searching for years. Francis was a bright student who regularly attended the festive oratory at Valdoco. Raised by devout and wealthy parents, he had been taught to live in the holy fear of God. Don Bosco had formed a close bond with the boy, who shared everything with the saints. In return, Don Bosco supported the teachings of Francis's parents, frequently encouraging the boy to remain obedient to them. Francis's story took a darker turn when he was given a novel by a schoolmate. Though not overtly immoral, the book ignited within Francis a dangerous passion for such literature. Gradually, his piety, academic performance, and interest in the oratory declined. His father, noticing the shift in his son's behavior, quickly traced the cause back to the novels. He reprimanded Francis, took away the books, and warned him of severe consequences if he continued down that path. But pride and fear overtook the young man, and rather than obey, Francis ran away from his home. In his wanderings, Francis found himself at a farmhouse. Prideful yet desperate, he approached the farmers and asked for food. Surprised to see a well-dressed city boy begging for a meal, they questioned him. Francis spun a tale about his parents dying after a failed business venture, leaving him penniless and ashamed. One of the farmers asked, "What will you do for a living?" "You'll have to get a job." Francis replied, "Will you give me one? I'm willing to stay here." "You don't seem cut out for farm work," one of the farmers said. "Try me," Francis responded. "All right, take this flail and let's see what you can do." Though unaccustomed to manual labor, Francis worked eagerly, earning the farmers' sympathy. They let him stay, offering him food and a place to sleep in the hayloft. After 2 weeks, Francis convinced them to help him find work on a different farm further away from Turin. Meanwhile, his heartbroken father searched relentlessly for him, eventually turning to Don Bosco for help. The saint assured the father that Our Lady would protect the boy and that he would eventually return. 2 years later, Don Bosco was visiting a nearby parish. While staying at the Hope of Count Rosenda, a benefactor of the oratory, Don Bosco noticed a familiar-looking young man working in a meadow. When the youth raised his eyes and quickly looked away, Don Bosco felt certain that it was Francis. As Don Bosco approached, the boy hurried out of sight. The farm manager explained that the boy, who went by the name Joseph, was a hard-working and obedient lad. Francis, overhearing their conversation, fled once again. A year passed. Don Bosco was on his annual retreat at St. Ignatius when one day, as he was strolling along the terrace, he noticed a line of beggars below. To his astonishment, he spotted Francis among them, barefoot and coatless, holding a bowl. Don Bosco quickly withdrew and asked the men around him for help. "Gentlemen, will you help me do a good deed?" Don Bosco asked. "Of course," they responded. "Good. Form 2 groups and go halfway down the road, some on the left, some on the right, as though taking a stroll. Then turn around and come back up, forming a chain. If a lad in shirt sleeves darts down the road, grab him and bring him to me." As the men positioned themselves, Don Bosco called out, "Francis!" The boy turned to flee, but he was quickly caught by several of the men. Offering little resistance, Francis was brought to Don Bosco. "This time, Francis, you won't run away from me," Don Bosco said gently, taking his hand. "Stay with me. You won't be sorry." He led the boy to his room where Francis was given food and questioned about his time away. Francis explained that after their last brief encounter, he had gone into hiding, working as a shepherd, a farmhand, and even a beggar. Although he had lived among God-fearing people, he had been too ashamed to return home. The thought of his father's anger kept him away, but now he was relieved to be in Don Bosco's care. Don Bosco assured Francis that he would help reconcile him with his father, but first he asked him to make a good confession, to which Francis agreed. Don Bosco then arranged for Francis to stay at the retreat house, where he was given proper clothing and a place to stay. At the end of the retreat, Don Bosco took Francis back to the oratory and contacted his parents. Preparing them for the reunion, he said, "Let us thank God that Francis has been found." When they arrived, Don Bosco added, "I'll give you your son back, but only on the condition that there be no scolding. Let bygones be bygones." The family agreed, and when Francis saw his mother and sister, he was moved to tears. His father, though formal, was deeply touched. Don Bosco guided Francis into his father's arms, saying, "Take him home. I am sure that from now on, you'll be proud of him." And indeed, Don Bosco's words came true. Francis resumed his studies, excelled, and eventually rose to a high position in government. Don Bosco often told this story to illustrate the dangers of certain books, emphasizing how even seemingly harmless novels could ignite dangerous passions in young minds. He made it a rule at the oratory that no boy should read a book without first submitting it to his superior for approval. Many youths in Turin, not under his care, would submit their books to Don Bosco. We see one such instance in the following letter to Octavius, the son of Countess of Turin. August 11th, 1859. My dear Octavius, I am returning your books which I had somebody examine briefly. Strictly speaking, there is nothing wrong in them. They are not on the index of forbidden books. Still, certain passages could be morally harmful to youngsters. Hence, while you may read them, be careful. Should they disturb you, either interrupt your reading or skip those passages. Your friend, Father John Bosco. As we've seen in Francis' story, the wrong books can lead us down a dangerous path. But there is a powerful alternative, the writings of St. John Bosco himself. As a monthly promoter, you'll gain exclusive access to Don Bosco's own works, books that inspire, guide, and safeguard your faith. Where harmful novels led Francis astray, Don Bosco's writings will lead you to the heights of virtue and closeness to God. Ready to arm yourself with the most powerful spiritual reading available? Become a monthly promoter now and let St. John Bosco be your personal guardian against the dangers of bad books. Don't let your reading material lead you down the wrong path. Choose wisdom. Choose guidance. Choose Don Bosco. Click the link in the description box down below to become a monthly promoter today. With so much evil content on the internet, we must be vigilant about what those in our care are exposed to. Like Francis' father in today's story, we should approach concerns with calm understanding rather than anger. When asking someone to give up something, we should offer a better alternative. Perhaps about St. John Bosco. In our digital age, we need St. John Bosco's wisdom more than ever before. We must vigilantly protect those in our care from harmful online content, approaching concerns with calm understanding rather than anger. When asking someone to give up something harmful, we should offer a better alternative, like spiritually uplifting content, maybe like this channel. Don Bosco's story of Francis teaches us valuable lessons. Even seemingly harmless books can profoundly impact young minds. Second chances given with understanding can lead to remarkable transformations. Vigilance in what we consume is crucial for spiritual growth. What stood out to you in today's episode? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll see you there. Thank you for joining me today. St. John Bosco, pray for us, Mary, help of Christians, pray for us. May God bless you, and Mary Immaculate keep you under her mantle. God love you.